question. Why does scary work pay well? Time to take notes. Okay, let it sink in. All right, here's the answer. Because scary work is avoided by most people. Now, when I say scary, I chose that word intentionally. I chose it deliberately. My good friend Darren Hardy, who runs Success Magazine, has written 2 great books. One of them is one of my favorite books of all time, called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. And one time in his Darren Daily, if you go to darrendaily.com, I recommend that you get it less than 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, about 225 days a year. I don't know how many times 5 goes into, 365. He has lessons, and they're spectacular. And a few years ago, someone that he looked up to said, Darren, scary work pays well. And to set a context, it means if you're willing to do the scary work, you're going to get paid better. If you're going to make calls to people you don't want to call because you're a little scared or frightened. Now, I use the word scared because that sinks in, right? And it doesn't have to be a big deal. It could be scary because you'll be embarrassed. It'll be scary because you look bad. It'll be scary because you may get rejected, right? Whatever unsupported belief you want to throw, doesn't matter to me. I use the word scary. You can use frightened. You can use fear. I like scary. It just feels good. Scary work pays well. I will tell you that scary work pays best. And that work is the stuff that other people don't want to do. Write every day for 2 hours. Why is that scary? Because one day you'll finish the work. It'll be a manuscript. It'll be a book. And what if it doesn't sell? That's scary, right? Some people call it procrastination, the fear of starting. I call it scary work. And then some people don't like to finish things. They're perfectionists, okay? And perfectionists are afraid to finish. Why? Because it's not perfect. Now, if you're not a perfectionist, many times you're a perfectionist in denial. I say this all the time when I'm on stage. And then with a perfectionist, they don't want to finish because it may not be perfect, and they don't want to show the public what's not perfect. Now, think about what embarrassment has done throughout humanity. More human beings, and animals for that matter, and wildlife and nature, has been annihilated, assassinated. They've died because of embarrassment. Embarrassment in politics, embarrassment between nations, embarrassment between leaders. People don't like to go on stage and speak publicly because of fear of looking bad. That's called embarrassment. The great entrepreneurs are not embarrassed. Steve Jobs was not embarrassed to get fired, come back, and build the single most valuable company on earth. I believe Apple is more valuable than Google. It's usually those two. He wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't afraid. He did. His comfort zone was so expanded, it wasn't scary for him. I would never want you to burst through your comfort zone. If you've heard that from anyone else, I don't say that, but they're not wrong. Here's another way of looking at it. I want you not to burst through the comfort zone. Don't move through it. That's too scary because you're in no person's land. I want you to expand your comfort zone. Listen, I want you to expand your comfort zone so that once expanded, everything that was not once scary is now comfortable. Think about that. And how do you expand it? One day at a time. How do you expand it? One scary action card at a time. What's a scary action card? In a moment, I will show you and teach you. This is a very simple process, but it's not easy. I've been doing it for many years. And when I heard that quote from Darren Hardy, I decided I'm going to teach what I do. And I've taught it in $25,000 masterminds, $100,000 masterminds into very close friends, some wealthier and some not as successful for me. Now I'm teaching it to my students. And I'm saying this a second time so it sinks in because you're not the same person you were 10 minutes ago when you read it, heard it, or watched it. Now, question, what is scary work? How do you define scary work? Okay, this is the way I define it. Usually it deals with other people. Sometimes it deals with projects, writing a book, doing a podcast, being on a show. Phil, who's here right now, didn't want to be here. He emailed me, even though we made an agreement, and said, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Well, that's the point. We're going to expand the comfort zone, and he already has done it by being here. And he is not the same person he was even 10 minutes ago, because as we progress through this masterclass, he is getting more and more courageous because he has support. He has support from a fellow countryman, actually 2 of them, because Leo Fernandez is my production manager. There's 3 Brazilians against 1. I'm the foreigner here, all right? So don't look as if I'm the masterclass teacher. I'm the foreigner. They have the majority on me. Now, answers. Scary work is calling celebrities. Scary work is connecting with them online or offline. Scary work is walking up to someone and saying, can I have your signature? Right? And they're very well known. Scary work is requesting something from a celebrity. Now, the reason I put celebrity, because it fit on the card, a celeb, right? A celeb is anyone, a thought leader, or it could be a politician, it could be an athlete, anyone who has higher status than you do. Okay? Now, scary work can also be writing a book or giving a speech, but usually it's scary in my world. Now, this is my psychology, so it may not be yours. It's scary because you're afraid of looking bad. You're afraid of being embarrassed. You're afraid of your reputation faltering, like going down. Then the next question, we know what is scary work, right? That's the head. How about the heart? Why is scary work scary? Think about it. Why is scary work scary? I'll just tell you the same reason why people fear public speaking more than they fear death. Fear of looking bad in public. When you look bad in public, it's more scary than looking bad in front of your parents if they're still living, or your kids if they're still living. You should be more scared looking bad in front of your family than public. But human beings aren't wired that way. At least I'm not. For some reason, I am scared. And when I say scared, I mean, I just avoid it. That's what scary looks like to me. So when I say I'm not scared of that, the word itself will propel me to do it. I've used the word very intentionally for that. So imagine in your final breath, the inhale and the exhale of your final breath, and you look back and you have 2 regrets. Now, I just lost a very dear friend. And he passed on. He's still here, but his body is not here. And he passed on at 3:15 in the morning, 3:15 a.m. And he passed peacefully. He was suffering. And there's the final breath, the inhale and the exhale. Now, my friend was a great leader. He ran a great company, and I'm not going to mention his name. But most people have regrets. I asked my friend while he was still able to talk, okay, what's your regret? And he didn't answer the same thing that hospice workers, those are people taking care of people who are not doing well, usually when they're aging or dying. Hospice workers have asked people who are in their final days, what are your deepest regrets? Sometimes the people just share it with them. My friend didn't give the 2 most common answers. There's 5 answers that comes about, but 2 that are very common. My friend says, do more for others than you do for yourself. Because once you've done everything for yourself, and he made a lot of money, he built a multi-million-dollar company, 10-figure company, right? He said, when you're doing it for yourself, what gives you the satisfaction is giving back to others. But if you give back to others, like tithing to them and giving to them while you're giving to yourself, which he did, he just wanted to do more of it, he says, you'll be happier. You'll be happier. So the 2 things that people complain about in their final days is, I wish I didn't do something. I wish I didn't say that to my child. Or I wish I didn't do that thing that got me in jail. Or I wish I didn't abuse myself with an addiction, whatever. It's something that they did. But that regret doesn't even come close to the second regret, which is the big one. And those are the things they didn't do. And that's why we're here, my friend. We're here because I don't want you to have that regret. I can't take control of things you did. If you're a student of mine, maybe I can assist you, but I can influence you ethically so that you do things and you don't have the regret of wishing you had done them, things that you didn't do, such as write a book, such as build a house with 5 cars and 3 dogs, such as having children, such as buying your mother a new home and your brother a new home. We're going to hear more about that later, but I don't like that regret, and that's why I do what I do. So what's a proven tactic that can eliminate the fear of scary work? There's not only the scary work, but there's the fear of scary work. What could possibly happen?